When we say you are the creator of your experience, we're not kidding you even a little bit. You are not just the creator of your experience. You are the creator of you. You are the creator of the vibrational version of you who exists in a vibrational reality. Now, many of you would say, oh, this vibrational version, I don't know if I want to talk about the vibrational version. I'd rather talk about the reality that I see around me. And we say, that would be fine if you, the larger part of you, were not standing over here in this vortex of creation as the vibrational version of all that you have become. But you have. You have become a vibrational version of something more than you know here in your physical reality, because the manifestation is slow to catch up with the vibrational version. So if you spend your time focusing upon the reality, looking at the money that is now in your checkbook, looking at the people who are now in your life, looking at the person who is now not in your bed or that you would like to be in your bed, as you are looking at what is, as you are facing the reality of what is, you are in most cases depriving yourself of vibrational alignment with this vibrational version, which is where the larger part of you stands. And so when you do that, you deprive yourself of the alignment with who you really are. We're not just talking about the stuff that you slow down. We're not just talking about the money that you slow down, even though you're slowing it down. We're not just talking about the empires that you are putting on hold, even though you're putting empires on hold. We're not just talking about the creative things like books and paintings and sculptures and music that are ready for you to harvest, even though you are putting them on hold. We're not just talking about those things and those experiences that you are depriving yourself of. We're talking about you depriving yourself of, in this red hot moment, the fullness of who you are, the clarity, the stamina, the exhilaration, the flexibility, the dexterity, the knowledge, the knowing of who you are, the love of who you are, the life of who you are. You see, you can't have it both ways. You can't look where you've been and at who you are at the same time. So when we say you in your physical body have the ability to be all of that, what we really mean is you have the ability to choose thoughts that cause vibration, that allows connection to the furthest part of you. And that's what true blending is. That's what true enlightenment is. That's what being frisky is. When you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on to the fullness of who you are, that's when you are living as you intended to be. And anything less than that is off the mark. And that's why anything less than that produces within you guidance that shows you it's off the mark. That's what negative emotion is. Negative emotion means you, in your humanness, in your physicalness, are focused upon something that has a vibrational frequency that is preventing your full blending with who you really are. That negative emotion is your indicator you're off. And if it feels off, it's off. Off from what? Off from what others think? No. Off from what you thought before you were born? No. Off from what God or some other creator wants from you? No. Off from who you have become. Off from the fullness that you are. Off from your most expanded beingness. Off from the source energy that flowed into you and while in you became something more. In other words, what we're just saying to you, you got to keep up with you if you are to feel positive emotion, which means you're keeping up with you. When you feel frisky, you're aligned. When you feel love, you're in alignment. When you are appreciating, you're in alignment. In your joy, you're in alignment. In your hope, you're almost aligned, but not quite. In your belief, you're aligned. In your anger, not even close. In your despair, further still. In fact, the furthest that you can get is despair and depression, which is what powerlessness really feels like. Alignment feels like empowerment, full of the power and the energy that creates worlds, full of who you really are. Have we convinced you, or have we got you in the vicinity of at least wanting to understand that the manifestation really doesn't mean diddly squat. Can you let go of what is right now? Can you accept that what is the magnificent bouncing off place, but where it's at, because the larger part of you has already gone there, is to a vibration that hasn't manifested yet. And if you can just hear us and believe that and look in the direction of the vibration that has not yet manifested, that stream will carry you. It will fill you with well-being. It will fill you with a feeling of adventure and enlivenment, and the manifestations will come barreling into your experience too. In other words, if you could just let go of what is, because it is only attention to what is. In other words, you can't tune to the frequency of the vibrational reality and the frequency of the reality at the same time. They are different frequencies. And there are people who would rightly say, but Abraham, there are things in my current reality that are vibrationally up to speed to the things that are in my vibrational reality. In other words, there's a lot of good stuff in my life. Couldn't I focus on it and still be a match to what's going on here? And we say, yes, of course you can. You could be such a good selective sifter that you just look at the best parts of reality and therefore tune yourself to the best parts of your vibrational reality. But it's the hard way to go about it, because in that sifting and sorting, you've got the pros and the cons, the pluses and the minuses, and it bogs your vibration down. If you could just be forward looking, if you could talk about where you're going and who you really are, if you could talk about how you want to feel, if you could talk about the big picture, if you could talk about your eternal nature, if you could talk about how things always work out for you, if you could talk about how the universal forces are already have already gathered the cooperative components. Look at the big picture and look toward the big picture and think about the big picture and speak about the big picture, and never look back to the reason that you ask for the big picture, because the reason that you ask for the big picture is a different vibration than the big picture. Does that make sense to you?